Goedenavond en welkom bij Nova College Tour. Eerder was zijn ontvangst in Nederland allerhartelijkst en op het hoogste niveau. Premier Kok die ontving hem, prins Bernhard, prinses Juliana en kroonprins Willem-Alexander. Maar deze keer is alles anders en blijven de deuren van het paleis en het torentje gesloten. China dicteert de wet, zeker in tijden van economische crisis. En dus is het maar zeer de vraag of hij zijn thuisland, Tibet, na 50 jaar verbanning ooit nog zal terugzien. Die vraag stel ik samen met de studenten hier in Amsterdam aan de Dalai Lama.
Hallo. So cool. Orwe. Kenapa? Kenapa? Oh.
Thank you so much for coming. Welcome. Please take a seat. How are you feeling? Are you in good health?
Good. But one, organ, that's gallbladder, no longer here. So something missing inside.
I'm asking because you had an operation, I think, last year on the gallbladder.
That's right.
You were in the hospital and...
yes, hospital about 5 days.
Right. But you feel
recover,
okay.
Very speeded,
yes.
Very fast. So doctors also is a little bit surprised. So
no worries.
So completely normal, no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Thank you so much for being in the Netherlands. Thank you so much for being here with the students in Amsterdam. I wanted to ask you, there is a special kind of relation between you and the Netherlands. A long time ago, in the 60s, yes. 1966.
True.
There was a special television show, live broadcasted on the Dutch television, in the gardens of the Royal Palace, Paleis Soesdijk, presented by one of the most famous Dutch anchors, Mies Bouwman. And it was all to collect money for you and your people. And we have
Mr. Brouwer.
Yes.
Brouwer.
Kees Brouwer.
How to pronounce?
Kees Brouwer.
Kees Brouwer.
He was the person who organized it. We have some footage. You can see it here on the television.
India, begin jaren 60. Tibetanen stromen met tienduizenden over de grens. Op de vlucht voor de Chinese bezetter. In Nederland leidt dat in 1966 tot de eerste grote televisieactie vanuit de circustent van Tony Boltini in de tuin van Paleis Soesdijk. Een televisieavond met Mies Bouwman. En een nog jonger Rob de Nijs. Prins Bernhard en Kees Brouwer zijn de drijvende krachten achter het evenement.
Hoe brengen we die vluchtelingen verder? Hoe maken we de toestand voor hen weer hoopgevend?
We have the granddaughter of Kees Brouwer here. She's sitting right here on...
I see. Oh, Tibetan dress.
Yeah. Okay.
Huh?
According to you, what is the importance of fundraising activities like what my grandfather has done back then and also what so many institutions right now are doing? What is the main importance for that?
Yes. Refugees like us, I think firstly, they have to sort of work for, eventually stand on their own feet. So for that reason, initially, the fund help very necessary. But sometimes too much sort of help. Sometimes people becoming more lazy, I think. And then take for granted without working, just so that. but I think, you see, Tibetan, generally speaking, I think we ourselves also, they reminds the people that it is not good always, you see, begging something.
What you're saying is you don't want to be a beggar, you want to be independent and a strong people.
That's right. So, like that. So, I very much appreciate now. I'm very, very happy as a meeting granddaughter of that late our friend. I'm very happy. And on top of that, you also dress like Tibetan. So, looks Tibetan, attractive young Tibetan lady.
Here you go. Now, this was very special. It was 1966, and this television marathon was done in the gardens of the Royal Palace. This time, everything has changed. Now we have the Prime Minister in the Netherlands who is not going to see you, and we want to show his statement to the people here in the Netherlands.
Ik ben ervan overtuigd dat een ontmoeting van mijzelf met de Dalai Lama niets toevoegt aan het gesprek dat de minister van Buitenlandse Zaken met hem zal hebben, anders dan dat het zal bijdragen aan een hardere confrontatie met China.
Do you know what has changed in those over 40 years between you and the Dutch officials and the Royal Palace since they are not receiving you anymore?
I think one aspect, yes, some official level. At that time, the People's Republic of China more or less isolated. So, a bit easier. Nowadays, the People's Republic of China become much more sort of engaging with the outside world, and also economically, also it's become very, very important. So sometimes leaders find a little inconvenience meeting with me. So it is understandable.
What would you say if the Prime Minister is watching this show tonight, which he will do naturally? What is your message to him?
I do not want to create any inconvenience for you. My purpose is to come to Netherlands, not create any problem.
Would you
if my visit is causing some more problem, then I feel very sad.
Okay. Let's see if the students have questions about this topic, for example. Please stand up if you have a question so the microphone can reach you. Anybody?
My question was, is this political pressure that you see in the world right now, was that also, did that affect your decision to strive for more autonomy instead of independence in Tibet?
Yes, it is. I mean, sort of policy, not seeking independence, not seeking separation, made up in our mind in early 70s. And exact finalization, that I think 74. So at that time, People's Republic of China itself, and full sort of swing way, just engaged in the Cultural Revolution, 74. And raising United Nations, the Tibetan question, raising at UN, I think the last one, I think 65. Right, 65. So then about 10 years, after 10 years, around 74, that means 9 years, we made up in our mind. Sooner or later, we have to talk with Chinese government. That's the only way.
Are you still in contact with the Chinese? Are you still negotiating, or is it over now?
In November, that's the last meeting with Chinese officials. So that's the last contact.
Aren't you hopeless, getting hopeless, because till now these meetings haven't done anything for you and your people?
Yes, if you look Tibet's situation locally, then hopeless. But Tibet issue, I often used to telling people, Tibet issue, not due to civil war or some kind of struggle within Tibetan community due to different sort of the ideology or sort of the social system, nothing there. The problem is the new guest without proper invitation. And that guest come with gun. So that's the problem. That started the problem.
If you were the leader of China, what would be the first thing you would do for the Tibetan people?
That I'm Tibetan. So I will be more favor for Tibetan. I don't know. That's a silly question. Sorry. You should know. You see, my sort of way of talking people, very frank, and sometimes quite blunt.
Yes.
So sorry.
That's a Dutch habit, actually.
Yes. Really?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Dutch are very blunt. This gentleman here in the blue T-shirt.
I work as a tour leader in China and Tibet. Tour guide, yes. Is there any recommendation you have for people visiting Tibet so they can more clearly see the reality behind the facade?
Chinese government must invite more people, particularly the media people. Let them see. Chinese government, I think, should proudly to show the reality. But recently, I think some German parliament member, I think four of them visited Tibet. Chinese government allowed, but later they stayed. You see, everywhere they went with Chinese security personnel and everything arranged. So, you see, you should ask the Chinese authority, since you are saying things are good, so we want to see the reality without restriction.
We have footage of the situation, as you call the troubles, last year after the Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
There was footage smuggled out of your country of tortures, of people being arrested. Let's have a look. We don't know exactly what is the date of this footage, but what is the worst news you get from Lhasa, from your country? How are people treated, your people?
Have you seen one report, now you see, leak out, which some Chinese, I think professors, some, I think, student visit Tibet. I think, as far as I know, two places, one Lhasa area, one in Amdo area, and they assess what are the causes of this crisis. Assess all. Then, in their report, they state, although some impact from outside there, but main causes is within Tibetan community due to the policy regarding religion, regarding education, and some other things was mentioned. Due to these wrong policy, Tibetan generally get a lot of disappointment or resentment. That's the main reason.
Questions?
I'm a student from London. I'm really nervous.
Tibetan?
Yeah, Cheka.
Chaka.
And I'm really nervous now. Okay, it's really difficult because we receive a lot of rejection, you know, because even though we try to just be friends, make a friendship, we get a lot of rejection, like, oh, those Tibetans, they always argue, they always protest, they just want to do this, and they belong to the Dalai clique. And it's really difficult to deal with this rejection when we talk to them and we try to be honest. And they tell us, like, we don't want to be associated with you. So how do you see this discourse in the future be dynamic and not just one-sided? Thank you.
Since last year crisis, that March crisis happened. Then April, I was in America, and then May, and I was in Germany and England. Wherever I go, some Chinese, some cases I think a few hundred, some cases I think about 100, always follow for demonstrations. Then one occasion in America, Rochester, actually I met some young Chinese protesters. I think 7 of them I met. 2, you see, willing, listen my explanation. But remaining 4 or 5, you see, no interest, you see, they listen, you see, my explanation. Just, you see, showing their anger, too much emotion. And fortunately, between us is a big table. Otherwise, they may, what's the day? Otherwise, they could have slept. Oh, too much anger. They won't listen. It's my talk, my explanation. But we kept our sort of, what's the day, effort, reach out continuously. Then, I think June or July in Australia, no Chinese demonstrations since then. So, we need more determination. After all, we have truth. We have nothing to lose. We have nothing to hide. It is their side. When we argue, when we talk, then sometimes, you see, their side become more weak.
Question. Here's the microphone. Please stand up, please.
My question was actually about the younger Tibetans inside of Tibet. You said some people feel that there is disappointment, that there is a feeling of failure, and they become more aggressive towards demonstration or you name it, and they try to find that independence. What's your feeling about that more direct approach towards the problem?
Within Tibet also is some quite critical about our approach. But majority, even inside Tibet, majority, and some Tibetan professors or teachers in China proper, they also very much supportive about our midwife approach.
Can we have a look at the Tibetan youth in Nepal and in India? Let's have a look what they think.
It takes 2 to shake hands, but only 1 to throw a punch.
6 million Tibetan peoples, we can fight. We can get it together and we can fight them, of course, why not?
The Dalai Lama looks at it, it's completely wrong. He's looking at it from a very spiritual, rational way.
There's fierce debate within your own ranks. Young people are debating what you should do.
Yes.
What would happen if tomorrow a young Tibetan would act a terrorist crime on Tiananmen Square in Beijing? What would happen? What would be the result?
As far as non-violent is concerned, even youth organization fully committed that. The Chinese government, is an accusation, youth organization are considered as terrorist, and sometimes Dalai Lama also terrorist. And our elected political leadership also they consider as a terrorist. So that I don't know. I think one incident in 1987, I think, in Lhasa, actual sort of shooting take place. At that time, one Chinese soldier's rifle fell down. One Tibetan pick up, instead of shoot back, crush on the spot. That's the clear sign under such critical sort of desperate situation, you see, they still keep the idea of non-violence.
Over there, question.
My question is in regard to Western help for Tibetan cause. A lot of this help is based on the picture of Tibet as a mystified place, as an unchanged Shangri-La.
Oh, Shangri-La. Oh, I see.
Yeah. As a contrast to the Chinese modernizing country. And do you think that these two images, who are very far apart, can be misused because the Chinese government, for instance, says that they are there to modernize the Tibetan country? And when you may ask young Tibetans, they say, yeah, we need this economic change. So that Western help on the long term backfires? Thank you.
So does it backfire, the Western help to Tibet?
For material facilities concerned, we are very, very backward. Spiritually, I think Tibet, now after 50 years, is seeing many sort of people and many sort of, I think, my friend, you see, including many scientists, top scientists, I realized, you see, Tibetan spiritual sort of standard is quite advanced. So therefore, remain within the People's Republic of China is our own interest for material development. Provided the Chinese government give us meaningful autonomy, which Constitution itself provided. Now things, you see, the saying or written on the paper and actual implementation, there's a big gap. Everything in Constitution, or there is judiciary system also there. But in actual sort of practice, the party above judiciary. Clear. So that's the problem. So no matter what, you see, things, nice things on the paper, but in real practice, the party secretary is absolute power. That's the problem. So therefore, the middle way means, you see, they not separate our own interest for, as you mentioned, as far as material development is concerned.
Shall we have a next question? Here we go.
The whole world is watching you and knows what you're doing.
No.
No. Well, a lot of people are.
A lot of people, yes, okay.
Why don't you just change your plans and go back to Tibet?
Huh?
What would be the danger of that?
Early 80s, some my friend advised, now time come, return and carry struggle within Tibet. We very cautious. Although at that time, very, very hopeful, Hu Yangpeng, extraordinary communist leader, and Dao Ziyang, also very pragmatic, very practical sort of leader. Now already know his memoir, very clear. So really hopeful. Therefore, 83, I publicly stated at Bodh Gaya in big gathering, I want to go to Tibet to see by myself. Then accordingly, we planned 84, we want to send a delegation for preparation, my visit. Visit take place 85. Then Chinese government refused sending delegation. So the possibility of my visit then diminished. Then 92, again I expressed I want to see. And that time, I want to cool down the situation. So I want to go. But no response from the Chinese government.
First of all, here.
The whole world is watching you. So there are two. If you get arrested, the world will not accept that. Yeah. And so what is the direct danger for you if you go to Tibet right now?
I think this question or this opinion I very much appreciate. But this opinion come lack of experience. Next question.
Well, wait a second. Well, what have you ever considered doing this? Go back to Tibet and see what is happening. I mean, what could happen? What could go wrong for you?
If there is freedom, I'm happy Immediately I will return.
Well, you could be a martyr and everybody would maybe follow your cause. Cameras would be there and they would follow what you are doing in Tibet and what the Chinese would do to you. It's a good question. I mean,
okay.
have you thought about it to go back?
Even my American friend, some senators, you see, a few years ago, you see, we had some sort of idea. One day, I will go to Tibet with some senators, accompany with me. So
as protection, the senators would be protection.
Yes. Idea is there.
Yes.
So as soon as the appropriate time comes, I'm ready to go.
But you have been waiting for 50 years. I mean, how long do you want to wait before you want to go back to Tibet?
That's my decision.
Yes, but we can
I will look.
We can ask the question.
And also I have to discuss with, you see, Tibetan public. Isn't it?
They want you to have back. Do you want him to go back to Tibet? Can I ask you? You're a student from London, from Tibet. Do you want the Dalai Lama to go back to Tibet?
Of course, everybody would want the Dalai Lama to come back, but I mean, as he said, the lack of experience is that even though everybody's watching the Dalai Lama, where in all these 50 years, where were the governments? Where were the interference from the different countries? Even though he has all this popularity, you know, maybe it's not, you know, good for the American government to interfere. Oh, we don't want to scare China. You know, it's not that easy that, oh, if he goes, then there will be cameras and we'll come back. Obviously, we want to live in an ideal world, but that's not what we have. No. And, you know, it's would be really dangerous.
But what is this?
And another sort of example, 1957, when I returned from India, many Gandhians promised me, you are not alone, we are with you. But 10th March crisis happened. You see, nothing comes from India.
So you don't feel enough support, international support, to back up your trip back to Tibet? You say there is no international support.
No, international support, what means?
Is it only words or is it action?
What kind of action?
Well, I'm asking you, do you see action or is it only word by mouth support?
Then when you see the plan start my return, then I will let you know.
I'm really sorry. I really respect your answer you gave to me that I have the lack of experience and what happened in Tibet, because I have the lack of experience. So I really agree that. But what I do not understand, China joined international law. So you have the right to be in your own country. So if they arrest you, the whole world is what they don't have the right to arrest you. So I'm almost convinced that the world will interrupt if they arrest you. That's what I don't understand.
Not that simple.
Do you think you will ever return in your lifetime to Tibet?
Yes, we feel like that.
You're convinced it will happen?
Yes.
I want to ask you, tomorrow you will visit, or one of the people that will see you is Princess Irene. She's the sister of the Queen of the Netherlands. She's our next guest in Nova College Tour next week. Let's have a look.
Bij welke politieke partij in Nederland daar sluit uw opvatting het best aan?
Ja, voor de draad ermee.
Wel redelijk links georiënteerd, heb ik zo de indruk, of niet?
Eerder wel, ja.
Ja? Zat er een beetje met de paplepel ingeroten door Bernhard? Of zo?
That's yes, Princess Irene. One last question to you, because I know you are very busy. Will you meet Queen Beatrix these days in the Netherlands? Is there any meeting with her or the Crown Prince?
I don't know. I don't know. Up to organizer. I don't know.
What do you hope?
I think the mother, maybe mother,
Princess Juliana.
The Prince Bernhard or something.
Bernhard, yes, Prince Bernhard. That's the father of Princess Irene.
Oh, I met him in the palace, and I think at that time, I think he also, involved the, Tibetan fundraising, work. I think.
Yes, he did fundraising too for you.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's right. And there, briefly I met the Queen.
The Queen.
Yeah. Very nice lady.
Certainly.
And I a special sort of, my impression was, you see, she also is fond of the cycle.
Bicycle.
Oh, that's good, isn't it? A queen, go like that. Very good. Oh, at the airport, one reporter asked me, what is the message to Dutch sort of university student or young people? Then I responded, I have no particular sort of message to Dutch youth. Basically, you are the generation of the 21st century. My generation, I think you, perhaps I think half, maybe. My generation belongs to 20th century. Now, anyway, sadly, 20th century become like century of war, century of bloodshed. I think the 20th century, I think, biggest number killed, including civil war. I think over 100 million, killed. So then, this century, I always earnestly, appeal to you. This century should be century of dialogue. Why? Problem, disagreement, always there. So we need some realistic, effective method to solve the problem. If you then, the two ways. One, violence way, use force. One, dialogue. We are a social animal. No matter how strong one individual, their survival very much based on the rest of the community. So I myself consider one of the 6 billion human beings, nothing special. So for my own future, I have to take concern for the rest of the humanity. The rest of humanity happy, our planet safe. I get maximum benefit. There's no point to think just oneself and forget other. That's a foolish way. That's unrealistic. Particularly today's world, due to technology, due to population, and also rapid changing of climate condition. So world now and economy, global economy, all these factors, we become much smaller, heavily interdependent. So according to new reality, the concept of we and they is no longer there. We must extend the concept of we. The whole world should be part of we. And treat them as a part of we. With that, there's no room of killing each other, isn't it? War, concept of war is very much based on the ancient reality, each community more or less independent. So under that circumstances, destruction of your enemy is victory of yourself. Now today's world, heavily interdependent. So I often is telling in India, the Pakistan, the next neighbor, destruction of Pakistan is destruction of India itself. More prosperity in Pakistan, benefit will reach India. So that's the reality. So therefore, there is, no way except dialogue. Face the reality and talk. I often have the feeling, even Bin Laden, meet him and sit. If his gun really remains silent, if his gun is a show, then I think better to run away. sit with him, listen. What is his sort of complaint? And just to see, destroy some important building in America, not a solution. Just a temporary satisfaction in emotional level. Otherwise, nothing happens. And instead, more distance, more gap, more distance, more distrust. It's further sort of complicated. Things become further complicated. Like, I think, American using force in Afghanistan, in Iraq. Things become more complicated. Now, even in Pakistan now, also. So at that time, since September 11th, I express, if your handling goes wrong, then at that time, 1 bin Laden, and after some time, 10 bin Laden, 100 bin Laden, 1,000 bin Laden can possible. So therefore, only thing is, try to change their mind, their emotion, not just physical control. So that's through dialogue we can change. Many Chinese brothers, sisters, when we first see little tense, then through serious discussion, then things really become very close. So if we use sort of force, then real feeling become hardened. So the only way, dialogue. So therefore, I'm appealing to you, please make contribution for the world promotion of spirit of dialogue whenever we face problem. Then through that way, first, we must work hard, internal disarmament. Then through that way, external disarmament will follow. Then world truly becomes safer. And then meantime, I think youth, you also should take seriously about family plan. That's very important. Each individual's life, of course, from the Buddhist viewpoint, each human life is very sacred. So control that is not proper, not right. But now today, over 6 billion human beings. Now already there's a scarcity, drinking water, or all the natural resources. And meantime, there's a huge gap, rich and poor. At global, not only global level, but within the country. Look, United States, most richest of the people, greatest of the people, country, but still the poor people there. So this is not only morally wrong, but practically also source of problem. So we have to reduce this gap. So already, I think, scarcity of natural resources already there. So now, the today's 6 billion population, if doubled 12 billion, I think really a lot of problem may come. So therefore, more peaceful way, family plan. I think family plan, best way, non-violent way is become more nun, more monk.
Well, thank you.
So in any way, these are you are the generation which really making new shape of this 21st century. So please think more wisely, more long-term, sort of thinking more long-term. That's very important. The Dutch sort of youth, not think just Netherlands, but Europe, a whole world. That's very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.